The beautiful thing I learned from studying for 2.5 years at the UCLA Mindful Awareness Research Center and going on so many meditation retreats, which is why you can hear me tell that story I told you yesterday, and then you're like, but she's bouncy and it seems genuine. It's like, well, I've been doing this for 15 years, I've been sitting with it and I've been doing a lot of things, and so now there's like a lot less of it. It's kind of like when you're like, unwinding some kind of knot and there's less of it left, it's that kind of a thing. But what I can tell you is, as you go through this, by just being aware of it, just sort of holding a little bit of light around it, just making space, however you want to sort of picture that, it starts to disappear. It starts to dissipate. Feelings in our body are like visitors, and they knock louder and louder until you open the door and let them in. And then when you let them in, they're a visitor. They don't stay forever. They might stay for an hour, have a cup of tea. Sometimes they might stay for 3 months, because there's grief in there that really needs your attention. And that's part of this gorgeous human experience, right? And so a lot of the time when people are like, positive thinking, it's like, well, some of that works, but if you don't sort of get to the root of what's really constantly behind here, then you're going to have to keep saying these affirmations to yourself, and it won't necessarily go in as deeply as if you just make space for all of it, right? Part of the gorgeousness of this human experience is all these feelings, and it makes the joy so much brighter when you have these contrasts of I know what it feels like to hurt. I know what it feels like to be scared and lose something or someone. So I really appreciate how high I can fly when I let go, when I'm totally in trust, when I'm totally surrendered, when I feel so whole. So I'm so proud of us, and I'm so proud of all of you for making a safe space, and we all held for each other. And wake up, and for a moment you forget your problems, and then you look in the mirror and you brush your teeth and you go, oh, here's me again, right? Here's my life, here's my day, here's my relationship, here's my thing, and it's all coming back, right? Because we just have a pattern, we remember it, and then it's not your mind that you're dealing with, it's just your actual body. And your body is so addicted to the cortisol, more addicted than cigarettes. Cortisol is more addicted than nicotine. It's unbelievable. So we're addicted to feeling like shit. No joke. We are. And so what we have to start to do is you start practicing what it feels like to feel really good. Like we just danced. And by the way, thank you for that. Katrina's like, let's go. And she started that whole party. So you practice feeling good. And then when you notice that you start to feel bad, you become the leader, right? You start to lead from an elevated mind, and you have to teach your nervous system, it's safe here. It's okay. You can let go of this. And all that is really is your body trying to protect you. Because when we go into fight or flight, it's our body's way of being like, you have to be hypervigilant about danger. At any minute, someone could crush your heart. At any minute. So if you don't keep focusing on the evidence that there is pain and problems in your life, you could let your guard down. And if you let your guard down and you open your heart, oh my God, something could happen. But we know that actually it's the opposite, because by being in that constant state of fight or flight, we don't feel good. And then what is our vibration doing? It's sending out a certain amount of static, and that static does not have any skeleton key other than more static. And we don't want that, right? Each of us has a different vibrational signature in every moment. And some people's vibrational signature doesn't change that much from day to day, and you go, oh, that's her personality, right? Or sometimes somebody has a certain vibrational signature for, you're on a trip, and for the 4 days you're there, you're like, he's in a mood. And it's a certain vibrational signature, right? And then sometimes you notice that it can fluctuate. Whatever that is literally the thing that is unlocking whatever is coming into your life in being made manifest in the 3D reality. Truly, end of story. And so our most prized possession and treasure is our vibe. And so that's why if you watch a movie like Amelie, or I don't know what movie you like that you see a girl that you think is just she's got something going on, right? Something whimsical. There are people, and you'll hear this a lot, God, I love your energy, right? That's the best compliment in the world. And when people say, God, I love your energy, you know that on the other side of that is going to be any opportunity you could possibly ever have with that person. You just got it.
I had an accident in October 2020 where I hurt my back, and I was coming back from the chiropractor, I started listening to Cathy, and just by listening to her, I'm gonna give the numbers because it just makes more sense. I went from 30,000 to 80,000 within a year. And when I started it, I looked nowhere else. I just started it. And we were financially in the place where we were actually in debt. When we moved I got married in Pakistan, we moved back, I wasn't working, we only had $50. And I started with a credit card, which was 0% for 12 months. So I was like, okay, let's take the step forward. But the way, just by listening to the podcast, the business has grown. I don't think I can give anyone else the credit except for God and Cathy. So from 3,000 to 12,000. This year, I've already made the 60,000 already. People, we always get so twisted in numbers. The other day, someone asked me, oh, you talk about like 60K, but how much was the profit? And I was like, do you not see me? I am the profit. This is the rest from Wowmeem as well, my boutique. So all of the items that come and are on all of my inventory is either from a very small business or from the brands. But I have women, we have 5 women we have hired over the course of 3 years. All of them had never worked before. They're confidently working. They live in little villages in Pakistan. One of them just bought a car 2 months ago. And I was just on the phone yesterday because Pakistan is going through a very, very rough time financially, and inflation is on another level. And I was talking to my manager and I was like, we need to give them a raise. And she was like, oh, so tell me how much you can afford. And I was like, it's not me who's giving you the money. It's them who's earning it. And it's God who's sending it. So it's only me, I'm just transferring, I'm just doing the transaction. There have been some amazing things that came out of the business. We were able to raffle some handmade scarves for this school which was gonna close. It's right on the border of China and Pakistan. And they couldn't afford to keep it open because there are 25 children in that school and they needed at least 50. So those 25 children would have to walk 10 kilometers on a very treacherous walkway with like mountains and snow and all of that. So their families obviously had to move. And with just 6 scarves, which the retail value would have been $240 for 6 of them, we were able to raise $4,000 with raffle tickets, and that paid for the entire year. We have done 4 projects, so one in Pakistan on the border. The second one is in Uganda for an orphanage home. I have tried to connect with women in Afghanistan. The project is still in process, but they can work from home. They can make whatever they like, and I'm trying. The next project is to start something like 1,000 villages, where we can just take different products and make a little boutique, and we can, make so many women resourceful. Just like as a woman, we are put in a very, very dark place with responsibilities, with the roles, with everything else. But it's equally important to step up, and that's why I started Let's Come Forward.
The only resource you need is your resourcefulness. And on the other side of that, maybe you'll open a school for a year? $4,000 can provide a whole year of education, and you're gonna sit down and complain for 4 days? I don't tolerate it anymore. This is what I have been saying for the last few years. I'm like, you wanna be political? Make as much fucking money as you can. right? If you want to do girl, make as much fucking money as you can. Stop sitting around. Stop telling me all the reasons and this and that. It's like, if you want to find evidence for a belief that you can't do something, you'll find it all day. And if you want to find evidence of how you can figure it out, you'll find it that second. So stop it. And every time you think of that, I want you to think of her and let me know how your ego can trump that. Let me know how your ego can look at her face in your mind and weasel its way out of it. It cannot. It cannot. We don't know 1 ounce of what it's like to be a woman in those countries, in certain areas. We don't know, and we don't want to know, but we could do something about it. And they're sitting there begging, pleading that somehow somebody else, somewhere else who can do something is going to make enough money to make a difference. And instead it's like, who am I to make a lot of money? It's so awkward. I'm not deserving of it. Really? Okay. But she didn't think that way. She said, every time I make $1, I'm actively going to help somebody else. And she said it a few times, and this way they can work from home, so they can be safe and make money. Are we hearing this? Do you understand how much money, and maybe Taqdees, this is something you can do with this community, do you understand how much money just the people sitting on this deck alone could do to help women in Pakistan right now? Wow, that should keep you up at night. Like, that thought should make you want to get up and get your computer and just start throwing spaghetti at the wall. Does it not?
When I walked up the stairs, I remember telling my friends, it seems like the angels have arrived after hard work. And when we were doing the meditation, I want to just share it publicly. I saw so much light and I saw flowers just blooming around me. And then all of a sudden I saw Cathy and I sitting in Jerusalem together with so many women. And after that, I just cannot stop crying because look at all of us. We all speak different languages. We all have different faiths. We all have different roads, but look at the congruence among all of us. And the bloodshed and the hatred and all this misery that we just put each other through for no apparent reason, just politics, does not make sense anymore. It does not. And, I literally felt like while you were there, this is what paradise would be like, without any borders, just bridges among each other. I know Cathy has been telling me for the longest time to start coaching. You can do it. Even Colleen always, it has been there, but always I was like, oh, the hijab, the brown skin, I'm overweight. And that just kind of got brushed off here. I was like, who am I to just step up? But just it's just, I cannot stop thinking about the hate that we see all around. Look at the breath work we did. We all breathe the same air. All of our hearts beat the same way. How can God just would have created differentiation between all of us? We are all the same. Listening to the stories, there's so many times where I was like, okay, so they experienced this too. This exact same thing happens in Pakistan or Pakistani culture or so many cultures I know. It doesn't make sense anymore. We're all this hatred. And I love you all. And every word and every hug, I think, I'm gonna cherish it for at least as long as I live and after that. Thank you so much.